So when the Comey memo dropped, everyone started freaking out. The people on the left were saying that it's showing that that Trump was actually trying to impede on the investigation. I mean, they were just freaking out. Already they're calling for for impeachment and all this stuff. Of course, when something like this drops, this memo, they all jump on the bandwagon to try to basically undermine the president and say that he should be impeached, say that he's colluding with Russia, and the memo itself isn't the bombshell that a lot of people think it is, if it's even true, which the memo likely is real, or at least a version of it is likely real. So I'll get to that in a minute, but the entire Democratic establishment, the entire mainstream media is definitely, in a frenzy over this Comey memo, and you've got people on the right saying that it's completely just not true, completely bogus, completely made up, and it may be, but it seems like Comey actually did take a lot of memos, did take a lot of notes. That's not in and of itself an unusual thing or uncommon thing for an FBI director to do necessarily. And he likely did have some memos and some notes of this nature. They're called in those inner circles CYA records, basically cover your ass records, which is exactly what that was. But a new video has, well, not a new video, a video from about a week ago, May 3rd, I believe, has surfaced of Comey speaking to Congress and basically saying that there has been no effort to impede the investigation. And I think people may be reading into this a little bit more than there actually is there. So you've got the left completely ignoring this, of course, and people on the right are saying that this would be James Comey committing perjury, because on May 3rd he's saying that there was basically no efforts to impede the investigation or stop the investigation into the Russian connection. And of course the memo that he wrote that everybody says shows that Trump was trying to impede the investigation was well before that. It was in February. So it seems on its face to many that what's going on here is James Comey actually committing perjury, especially if he actually comes out and verifies this memo, which hasn't happened yet, and tries to say that he does believe that there was an attempt to engage in obstruction of justice. And Comey's in trouble right now regardless of this, either way, and I'll explain that in a minute. But I think people are maybe reading a little bit too much into this, and I want to explain why. So this is an article from the Washington Times. Comey, higher-ups never asked for a halt to FBI investigations. James Comey, just fired FBI director, said in a Senate hearing earlier this month that he's never been asked by higher-ups to back off an investigation for political reasons, and that doing so would have been an eyebrow-raising, quote, big deal. The Q&A with Democratic Senator Mazie Hirono didn't name President Trump's name, which is very important to put it all into context. But given the recent Comey memo in which he asserts Trump tried to stop the FBI investigation of former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, the under oath testimony is interesting consideration. Here's what was said, as noted by the Washington Bureau Chief for the Rebel Media, Jack Posbiek, I believe, that may be a butchered pronunciation, in a Twitter post. First, Hirono asked Comey, so if the Attorney General or senior officials at the Department of Justice opposes a specific investigation, can they halt that FBI investigation? And Comey's response, in theory, yes. Hirono, has it happened? Comey, not in my experience, because it would be a big deal to tell the FBI to stop doing something that without an appropriate purpose. I mean, there are oftentimes they give us opinions that we don't see a case there, and so you ought to stop investing resources in it. But I'm talking about a situation where we're told to stop something for a political reason. That would be a very big deal. It's not happened in my experience. And then it goes on. And how did Posbiet characterize the testimony? He headlined his tweet this way, and this is what a lot of people are taking out of this, and this is what I'm saying a lot. People may be reading a little bit too much into this. He headlined his tweet this way. Comey said under oath that Trump did not ask him to halt any investigation. 5/18/17 hashtag Comey memo, just in case you wanted the full tweet there. So first of all, the question that was asked is whether if the Attorney General or senior officials at the Department of Justice could halt an investigation. And then he went on in answering that question specifically about the Department of Justice, senior officials, if they could halt an investigation. And he was saying in that context that, that hasn't happened, and obviously that would be a big deal. His response did seem fairly broad, and a lot of people are saying that if given that, put in that position and given that opportunity, that would have been, there's almost no chance that Comey wouldn't have come forward and brought up that he feels the president was trying to obstruct justice if that was actually the case. So there's definitely a case to be made there that he probably would have brought up that Trump tried to, get in the middle of the investigation in some way at that point, but he didn't. So he didn't actually admit there that Trump himself hasn't actually tried to obstruct justice. Not necessarily, although he almost certainly would have brought that up in that, in that response, in that situation. So I don't know that it's necessarily the bombshell that a lot of people are making it out to be, but regardless of this, the memo that Comey put out, or was leaked out, almost certainly by Comey himself, on its face, that memo, if it's even true, what Trump supposedly said, that's actually not obstruction of justice, even if the memo was completely 100% true. And here's the problem for Comey. So that memo was taken in February, sometime in February, just after I believe Mike Flynn was made to resign, or right around that time, and the memo was taken then, and again, on its face, the memo, even if Trump did say that, wouldn't have been obstruction of justice. And again, we don't know the full memo. We haven't read the full memo. As the FBI director, it is your duty, if you feel like there is an attempt to get in the middle of an investigation, you actually have to come forward right then and there, right at the time that happened, and say that you're concerned. You have to resign, or you have to bring forward that evidence. That's not what Comey did. What Comey did is he kept these little memos and stored them around for later, and then magically, right after he gets fired, this memo comes out. So the problem for Comey here is, if Comey even starts to utter that he thinks that there was obstruction of justice, well, then the immediate question is going to be, well, then why didn't you say anything about it when you thought it was going on? Why did you wait on it for 3 months and then, have it leaked to the media after you got fired? So that's where we're at here. Even if the memo was real, it wouldn't be the high crime and misdemeanor worthy of treason, not even close, that the Democrats are trying to say that it is. If anything, the only person that this probably incriminated is actually Comey himself, which is absolutely hilarious. So Comey's definitely in a bit of deep water right now. He actually, at this point, he now basically can't come out and say that he thinks that there was an attempt to get in the middle of the investigation. He can't say there was an attempt to obstruct justice, because that would now be throwing his ass right under the bus. So just, not a very smart move by the people involved in doing this. And again, the real problem here is the fact that this stuff was leaked out the way that it was. This continues to be the problem. You've got the entrenched establishment that is working together against President Trump, giving leaks to the media, and doing everything they can to try to undermine him. So Comey has definitely put himself in some hot water. This video of him, testifying to Congress, saying that there was no attempts to get in the middle of the investigation. That's taken in context. It's not necessarily what people are making it out to be, because again, he didn't say Trump's name. He didn't specifically say that he was talking about the president, right? Which is what he would have had to have done for it to, be taken the way that I think a lot of people are actually taking it. Certainly, Comey, this is definitely does not, help their case for sure, because almost certainly, Comey, especially being the kind of person that Comey is, he likes to be in the spotlight. Look at how he handled the Clinton, email scandal. He was right up in the middle of that. So he likes to be up in there. He likes to be up in the front. He likes to be in the spotlight. And if he thought that there was obstruction of justice, not only would it have been his duty to, come out and say something about it at the time it happened, but he would have. He absolutely would have. What you had here was a pathetic little, CYA note that he stored away for a rainy day because he knew he was probably going to get fired soon, and he was going to use that as an opportunity to basically get some revenge, I guess. It's just completely ridiculous. It goes to show that you've got this concerted effort by people in the intelligence, community, people in the media, and others to just absolutely try to undermine this president, and they're basically willing to do whatever it takes at this point. So the good news is sometimes they make some pretty amateurish mistakes, and some pretty foolish stuff winds up happening, because I think they're really trying to double down as much as they can right now on the Russian narrative. They just really want to push that as hard as they can, and sometimes some really sloppy mistakes get made like this. It was just a bad idea to release that memo. They would have been better off not releasing that memo and pretending like it never existed, and then they would have had a better case. They could have actually Comey actually could have came out then and said that there was potentially obstruction of justice, and he would have had a much better chance, at least, of you're not getting in trouble, for saying something like that. Now he has put himself in a box, and if he comes out and says that there's obstruction of justice, he is now putting himself in a position where he is going to actually get in trouble. So, maybe Comey's secretly on our side here. Maybe somehow, some way, he's really trying to help out Republicans. Okay, that's a total joke, obviously, because he's totally in with the establishment, and he, obviously didn't indict Hillary Clinton. So he's, he's basically a rogue, pretty much. Like he's just kind of doing his own thing. Again, he likes to be in the spotlight, and he made a foolish mistake on this one. So hopefully this really does come to, bite him in the butt, because he deserves it for being such a screwball for so long. He was probably one of the worst FBI directors we've had in a while. So definitely not crying to see him go. And it's funny to see all the Democrats talking about this Comey memo like it's going to be the end of Trump, when, if anything, this might be the end of Comey. He really incriminated himself on this one. So very, very foolish. Very, very foolish. If you enjoyed this video, and I hope you did, please subscribe, leave a comment. If you would like to hear the audio version of this, I'll have that on SoundCloud. Also, you can follow me on Twitter or like me on Facebook, and I will have the links for all that in the description. I hope you have a wonderful day, and may the force be with you.